Aaron,
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. We'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead, Steve McGargy.
Just wondering, the game y'all had with the 49ers back in September, the way you all were able to win it there, as time expired, how big a catalyst was it for the rest of the season? How much of a spark was it? And also, I was just wondering how much you can take out of a game like that heading into the playoffs, because it's been so long since y'all faced each other.
I think it was huge, just getting that win streak going. We had just won our first game the week before, so getting that win streak and getting everything rolling, it was huge on the implications of the NFC and the standings, and I'm glad we came out on top of that one. And it has been a little while since we played them, but you can still look at their tendencies and see some of the things, what has changed and what hasn't changed since you last played them.
Ryan Wood.
Hey, Aaron, I think it's probably safe to say that the last two playoff losses in the NFC Championship game the past 2 years, you didn't, with the way you guys started, maybe give yourself the best chance in those games. How do you prevent that? And what do you take from those experiences and maybe to get a hotter start in this postseason?
For sure. Like you said, it starts with that just coming out, starting fast. We got to be the tone setters from the jump, and I think that just starts off with us internally. We got to get that done.
Rachel Hotmeyer.
Hey, Aaron. The Niners use Deebo Samuels in so many different ways. He's a lot more than a wide receiver. As a running back, what type of threat do you see in him?
He's versatile out of the backfield. When you line him up in the backfield, he can take it to the house when you hand it off to him, but he can also be used as a receiver out of the backfield, which is a mismatch on most linebackers. So that's another way to get him a mismatch. And I feel like they do a good job of finding ways to get him the ball.
Bill Huber.
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
Good, and you?
Good, thanks. Hate to bring up something negative from the past, but last year's class with the fumble. How much does that eat at you, and how much does that motivate you here for this next few games that you got coming up?
I moved on from that. I played a lot of football after that, so I think I've made up for it. But just keeps me hungry. We were right there, so keeps me hungry, and got to get it.
Wes Hodkowitz.
Aaron, obviously you've known the difference now between playing, excuse me, in Lambeau with 78,000 or, really nobody. Just what kind of environment are you expecting on Saturday night, and how big of a difference does that make actually having a full crowd again?
It makes a huge difference. You can feel the energy, you can feel the juice that our fans bring. I've been told by different players that this is one of the louder stadiums in the NFL, so we can definitely feel their energy, and we feed off of it. So I'm glad to have everybody back in the stands.
Cassidy Hill.
Hey, Aaron, it looks like the 49ers will for sure have Fred Warner back, maybe Bosa as well. Just, I know it may seem like an obvious question, but what do they bring? How does their defense change having both of those guys there in the front seven?
They're elite players. They're difference makers. So with them on the field is going to be a huge difference, and with them off the field is going to be a difference as well. So I'm pretty sure they're glad to have those guys, and yeah.
I mean, is there anything in particular you can do maybe in blocking or reads to kind of help Aaron Rodgers negate those two? Don't give away your game plan, but what do you have to do to sort of to zero in on those two guys?
The scheme's not just based on two people. They have other players across the board. Their whole D line, they get after it. They have fast linebackers, so it's not just those two guys. Everybody flies around.
MK Burgess.
Speaking of linebackers, Whitney Merciless, what has it been like to see him back on the field, and what kind of just juice has he brought just seeing him back and the possibility of having him back on the field for your defense?
I got stepped into a time machine. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody come back this fast off of a bicep. So definitely glad to have him back on the field with us. He's a true veteran, a true leader. Even when he first got hurt up until now, he was here every day, working with us, talking to us, being a true leader. So just to have that vet back on the field and some experience, I'm happy to have him back.
Tim Van Boren.
Good afternoon, Aaron. You did not play in Detroit, and you obviously had off last week. Do you have fresh legs? What is the value of fresh legs this time of year?
I definitely feel like I got fresh legs. The value, just being, I feel like you can be a little step faster, and take a little bit more contact just because you're a little bit fresher. You've had time to get your body back up underneath you.
Mark Daniels.
Hey, Aaron, got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Aaron, what are your expectations as far as the timing, cohesion? If you get David, Josh, and maybe Billy back, an offensive line that hasn't, I know they played a lot of football, but they haven't played in a while. Can you really expect, the timing and the function to be, top notch right out of the gate?
I mean, they have played football in a while. They all played
Well,
within the last 2-3 weeks. Everybody's played. But speaking on what you're saying, I mean, no matter who's in there, they all do a great job, and you haven't seen any let up when one person comes in or comes out. So I think Steno does a great job with those guys. So they'll be ready to play.
Mark from the New York Post.
Can you describe Aaron Rodgers as a leader, and if there's anything about him that changes in the postseason?
Yes, I could definitely describe him as a leader. He's someone who cares about everyone, who wants to see everyone do good things, but he's also going to help you along the way. He's going to bring you along, and I feel like that's one characteristic of a leader. He's not just worried about himself. He brings guys along with them, teaches them, shows them the ropes, or gives them advice, or just becomes someone to look up to.
Just as a follow, does he change at all during the off season? I mean, in the postseason at all? I mean, is it just things get a little more intense or ratchet up?
He's the same guy every day. Fun loving guy. I love being around him. And no, but he lets you know, hey, it's playoff football. No need to change anything we've done. Continue to do the same things, but just a little urgency.
Thank you.
Ryan Wood.
I know you say you moved past the fumble, and rightly so. You've done so many big things in your career, but because of that, it's been so rare for you to have a play like that. Was that challenging for you to move past because it was so different than how the rest of your career's been gone?
Are we talking about a fumble from last year? We're about to be in the NFC, not in the NFC Championship, but we're about to play a playoff game. So I'm not worried about last year and what happened in last year's game. All I can control is what's going to happen in this game. So I'm looking forward to that. But it did have an effect on me. I thought about it for a long time, and but I've played football. I've got that off my chest, and I moved on from it. So I'm good.
Wes Hodgwitz.
Hey, Aaron, when you look just at AJ and where he came from last year to this year, and obviously being the thunder to your lightning without Jamal this year, where do you feel that he grew the most? And just how do you feel about that 1-2 now finally going into a postseason together?
Oh, it's tough to say one area where he grew the most. If I had to choose, I'd say either receiving or pass protection. It's tough. Both of them well, protecting, you got to be able to do the play and take care of A-Rod. So that's one of the bigger things. And then catching the ball out of backfield, you want to be diverse and versatile, especially someone his size and stature. When he get in the game, they might load the box. They might see him, they're going to run the ball. But no, he can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So I think that just helps his game.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Aaron Rodgers is headed to his Zoom. We'll continue here with Jason Wilde.
Aaron, going back to last year's postseason in a different way, you and Jamal put up 165 yards or something rushing in that Rams game. And then obviously the production wasn't quite the same in the next game. How important is it for you and AJ to set the tone in a playoff game to get the running game going and maybe even make Matt stick with the running game more than he might otherwise?
I think it's huge. It like you said, it sets the tone. That means the guys up front are getting after it as well, and it takes pressure off of other people as well. It lightens the things up. They can't just go too high and play coverage. Now they have to respect the running backs and respect the run game.
Tom Silverstein.
Hey, Aaron, I was going to ask you about playing with a fullback in the backfield, but before that, I wanted to ask if you saw the Cowboys game where they lined up two offensive linemen in the backfield in like a wishbone kind of deal against San Francisco.
I didn't see it. No,
Okay.
sorry, I didn't see it.
I was curious.
I wouldn't
if
mind
you'd
having
seen-
two offensive linemen in front of me though, for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But you often line up with a tight end. What is the advantages and disadvantages of having a fullback in the lineup?
I'd say the advantages is you just got one more like blocker who's assigned to a specific person instead of, you know, like a DB. There's assigned to probably somebody in the box or but then also most of the time when it's a fullback in, the teams are thinking run. So guess that's the but I mean I like running with somebody in front of me and I don't mind it.
Any other questions for Aaron? All right, you're all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Davante.
Hey,
We can go ahead and get started here. Go ahead, Greg Matzik.
Hey, Davante, question for you. I think it's fair to say if you ever lined up in the backfield, you'd be a freight train coming at the line of scrimmage. When you see Deebo Samuel line up in the 49ers backfield and how they use him, does that ever get your mind working like, man, that might be fun to try?
no, not for me. Not for me. I think it's cool for him. It's good for his body type. He's got amazing vision. He's built more like that, kind of like a hybrid in between back and wideout. So it works well for him. And not that I couldn't do it, but I'm a receiver, so we'll stick to that. Running the ball, I don't see that. I don't know if I have a rush in my career, but we'll see. I told Matt, give me a dive at the 1 yard line. I can go over the top, maybe get over everybody, but some of those dudes a little stocky in the middle. I think Deebo built body wise a little bit more for that.
Tim Van Voren.
Afternoon, Davante.
Hey, how you doing?
Great to see you. Been a lot of history, of course, with you guys in the Niners in the playoffs, but the history goes back a long ways between these two teams in the postseason as well. Wondering if you had to be like 5 or 6 years old. I'm wondering, growing up out there in the Bay Area, if you remember the Terrell Owens catch thing against the Packers or any of those, early days Packers Niners things when you were watching football.
No, I don't remember watching it then. At that point, I didn't know much about it. But as I got older, you definitely saw some repeats and kind of learned that was the play or the day that made TOTO from Terrell Owens. But yeah, so I know about it more. I learned more about it as I got older. But when I was probably, I don't even want to say, I really don't know either. But I was definitely a youngin at that point, so didn't have all my history and all of that kind of locked in. I was probably watching a basketball game when it was going on. So. But yeah, definitely hip to it now.
When you think about playoff memories, and you say you learned about that stuff later on, do the playoff postseason memories, are those moments just more convincing, more memorable because of when they occur in your experience?
For me personally?
Yeah, just in remembering postseason moments as a football fan, as a football player.
As a fan, yeah. I mean, for sure. I think to a certain extent, the things you do in the regular season sometimes can get lost in the sauce a little bit if you don't follow it up with a decent playoff run or at least performance on yourself. So I like to take the same intensity, that I had for all 16, 17 games now and add to that as I get to the playoffs. But yeah, man, it's definitely a little bit of an amplified feeling when it's time to go. So when you have that feeling, I guess it kind of resonates more in your memory as well. So when I think about playoff football, or I think about football, I definitely think about the teams down the stretch. It's not really the guy who led the league in receiving or led the league in rushing. You don't really remember that years later. You think about the teams that had a legit playoff push and go on to win Super Bowl. So that's definitely the way my mind has worked in the past.
Wes Hodgwitz.
Hey, Davante, on Friday, if it's my understanding right, Matt told you guys about the first team all pro stuff, and you obviously were unanimous and, another achievement for you there. But do you remember what the reaction was like for Devondre and just seeing, after what he brought this year and then getting the snub with the Pro Bowl for him to be able to get that acknowledgement, that recognition as well?
Yeah, man. I know we were all ecstatic, and the way Matt kind of set it up when he said we got two guys that are, obviously we're expecting. A few of us kind of got a little bit of a hunch that it was going to be Dre, but the same few were also saying it ain't a surprise to us at all. So it may be a surprise to the rest of the world, but and it more so was surprising for us because we're like, that's kind of how this thing goes. It's a popularity contest sometimes. They don't always give credit where it's due, but we knew what he's been doing the whole time and kind of saw that he was talked about in, kind of some of those conversations throughout the year. But to actually be called, especially at that position, like that position is a lot of hype, and there's a lot of guys that are hyped up, but are great players as well. So it's just kind of a toss up whether or not you're going to get acknowledged for it, because it don't necessarily go to whoever had the most tackles or whoever had the most picks at back or whatever. You just gotta hope that whoever voted is thinking of your name when it's time to vote, and not just making it about who's the popular guys who are always mentioned in that. And for a guy like him to be brought in off the streets and come and have the impact he did on his team, we wouldn't be where we're at without him right now. I'll tell you that. He kind of holds that defense together, and we were definitely excited and shocked to a certain extent as far as them actually voting for him, because we knew he was deserving, just didn't know exactly if he would have got the vote or not. But we were all excited. I was way more excited for him than for myself. I was more excited for him than I was for 12 too. 12 he got like 10 of these things now. So nobody more deserving on our team to be a first team All-Pro than Dre, in my eyes.
Mark Daniels.
Hey, Davante.
What's going on?
Nothing. Good to see you. Seeing what the Niners have done with their pass rush in the last couple of games, I think they're up to 10 sacks and 25 hits. Can you just talk about how the mental clock has to be really in tune to get off, maybe to win quicker, or to make sure, mid-developing routes are still there and on time? How does that kind of just ramp up when a front poses problems the way they do?
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can do with your routes. You obviously got to be more alert. They're not a huge press team like that, so it's really just about having awareness and understanding when they're bringing pressure, just to more so alter routes. But for the most part, I mean, it doesn't change. It's going to be more on scheme to change and decide different types of routes that we run, rather than shortening our routes and doing other things to try to beat the blitz, because then you end up with a messed up concept if you're not fulfilling the steps that you need, or getting to wherever you need to be on the field. So it's a kind of a battle with that whole idea, because you obviously want to speed up to be quicker for your quarterback. But sometimes if you got individual cuts or things like that where you're not involved in a concept involving somebody else that you got to protect, or something of that sort, I've found that you can kind of shorten the route by a step or two with the permission of the guy throwing it. You got to be on the same page, otherwise you shortening it, and him, if it's blocked up well and I run a route shorter now, that just gives the DB more time to close on it because the quarterback's not ready to throw. So it's definitely it's a slippery slope a little bit, but we tend to navigate it pretty well and come up with a good plan for guys like this.
Cassidy Hill.
Hey, Davante, actually kind of building off of that, is there anything in particular the offense can do as a whole to get off to a faster start during the playoffs overall, but especially against a team like the 49ers that is going to want to control the ball, control the time of possession?
Yeah, well, we just got to make each possession count, and don't come out flat like what we have in some playoff games against them in the past. You gotta come out firing. You got to kind of throw everything you got at them, not hold anything back. And we know what type of team they are, but we've won the last two, and we kind of have a pretty good rhythm with that. So as long as we come, they ain't gonna just lay down and let us win the third in a row. But we to a certain extent had a number right now. So it's just about being on top of everything and having that intensity, that urgency that we've been lacking in some of the earlier parts of these games. Just maximize it and push it and come out ready to go.
Why do you think that is that you've come out flat against them in the past in the playoffs?
I don't know. Can't answer that. I think it's just some games it's just how teams come out, and we can't allow that to be who we are.
Thank you.
Wes Hodquist.
Davante, I wanted to ask you quick about Sadie's, if I could. I know you've talked in the past about kind of the friendship you've had with them and kind of getting to know him even away from the field a little bit. Just wondering what that process has been like for you, and just if there's anything about him that you didn't know 4 years ago that when he came in that kind of resonates with you now, as he's kind of gotten and really grown into this locker room.
So, well, I mean, honestly, just the more time we spent together, because last year we spent a ton of time together. He was living with me for a little bit to start this season off, getting ready for his spot to open up his rental. So we just spent so much time together that over the past like 2 years was when we started becoming really close. And I think what brought us so close is that we kind of naturally and just like organically became friends. It wasn't like I just saw, a guy from Cali in the locker room. We just going to start kicking it every day and whatever. We just like naturally started to learn that, we're a lot alike in our mentalities, our work ethic, things that we're interested in, outside of football, a lot of that stuff. So it was just really just natural. So just we had a bunch of stepbrothers type moments, saying the same thing, same time, same thought process. So, when you have two guys that have been playing and hold themselves to a really high standard, and we talk the same too. That's another thing is there's a lot of people around the league or on this team or whatever, which it's just kind of a personality trait. So you can't get on a guy for not having a certain type of language away from the building. But, when he was living with me, the amount of film that we watched just for no reason was ridiculous. Like that's just the type of people that we are. It's like instead of watching a show or something, we were just pulling up clips, whether it was something from 2016 I had on my phone. Y'all know I like to keep stuff on my phone. So I got a couple clips from, old Tay to kind of look at and show him some stuff and look at some targets from now just to show some contrast. And he got different clips. Even I think he got some of his film from Jacksonville sent over, like emailed to him. So we were watching stuff like that. So just two dudes that are really simple as far as what they do on the day to day, and just naturally kind of gravitated toward each other based off work ethic and just mindset overall. So one of my best friends for sure.
Jason Wilde.
Hey, Davante, how are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Hey, I was just in the other Zoom room with the quarterback, and I was asking him about, and speaking of old Tay, I was asking him about how he's kind of changed his approach in terms of getting after guys on the field. I'm wondering if there were some days for old Tay where maybe that you remember him really getting after you and maybe you not even really liking it. And if you've seen an evolution where now, he's not quite that way, because he actually acknowledged that he's changed his approach.
Yeah, man. With old age, he's definitely getting softer. And I mentioned that to him. So that's probably why he said that to you. I called him on it recently. I said, you're getting kind of soft, man. I like it though. I like it because as you get older and these kids are getting younger coming in, Amari's like 17 years old. So when he comes in, it's tough to get a young guy in front of you that is not going to just be thinking, holy crap, I'm in front of Aaron Rodgers right now. So I think that he's definitely given him the Rodgers rate recently, as far as just kind of just lightening up and letting him kind of just learn without having to be scared. And I didn't have my scared moments, but he was definitely harder on me in that generation or that group at that point. Maybe like 2 or 3 years into my stay here is when he started to kind of ease up a little bit. But you would notice, because from IPWs, I thought he was just like the most chill quarterback ever. And then we come back training camp and it was like a whole different person. And now you kind of get spurts of that, but for the most part, it's a lot more positive reinforcement if he realizes, certain guys can take it too. Like, he never held back on me, because that's the type of coaching I've taken my whole life from basketball, all my football coaches. I've never had a coach that was like, you're that guy, so I'm gonna just treat you like it. I've always been coached like the hardest on the team, and I've always loved that. And it's something that when he got on me early in the league, I didn't like certain stuff, but it wasn't like I went home talking to my wife or talking and crying about it. Like, it's the way, for me, that's the way you're supposed to get coached. That's why when I saw that Georgia player kind of get on his guy in the or not the NFC Championship, what is it called, the Natty, he kind of got on this guy for missing assignment. He went and got on him. I love seeing stuff like that, because that's the era, and that's the the type of coaching style I received, and that's where I'm from. Just kind of getting in your shit, like, or your stuff like that. And I feel like you can get a lot out of people, but you got to know who you're dealing with. So I feel like he does a really good job of kind of knowing who he's talking to and who he's coaching up to kind of get the best product from them without necessarily just getting on the guy.
Cassidy Hill.
This is not my question, but I feel I have no choice to ask. Did you and Mercedes stack your beds and make bunk beds when y'all were in there together?
No, my mom said no power tools, so I couldn't. it would have left up to me. Y'all kind of a little older group. I don't know if everybody got that joke, but yeah, no power tools, Dale.
Probably older than you.
Yeah.
Anyways, when you get to watch, maybe just as a fan, some of these 49ers games, what do you see from Deebo Samuel? I mean, he's a positionless player. What does he sort of bring to their offense from your opinion as a fellow receiver?
He's dynamic, man. He's a hell of a wideout. He's basically a punt returner as soon as he gets the ball in his hands, man. And it's special to watch because you don't really see guys be able to maximize their yak the way that he does. And, it's something that I told y'all early in the season. I was watching some Lamar Jackson highlights, just trying to really just see if I can see in slow-mo what he's seeing in fast motion. And that's kind of the same thing as what Deebo does. He gets the ball and he gets right upfield. They put him in some great positions to make plays. So he's a dynamic player. It's fun to watch.
Then what's the key to catching you for breakfast at a diner?
Excuse me?
Have you seen, there's a picture going around about fans catching you at a diner and earlier this week. And
oh, yeah.
Is it with you?
Yeah. I don't know. You just got to get lucky, I guess. I would say my only request, I'm really good with fans. I love taking pictures. I love signing stuff. But it's probably the best if you would let people finish eating and catch them. Just be smooth about it. Be as smooth as you can if you actually want a picture, because I'm telling you one thing, I ain't taking a picture standing up in the middle of a restaurant when I haven't even got my food yet, because now it's going to be a very tough operation as far as just spending time with my family, being as low key as I want. Love the fans. I love the support and the juice they give while I'm seated eating in a really small restaurant. But it's cool. I love it. But just try to stall me out until I get outside next time if you see this, sir.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Jason Wilde.
So, Davante, we have something for you. You can add this to your collection. Those fans at the diner are one up on us since they get to see you in person and we do not. But congratulations. You are the first 3-time winner, yes?
3 times. Let's go, man.
And the first unanimous selection for our Tom Mulhern Stand-Up Guy Award. And
that's amazing.
As you know, that's named after someone who's really important to me. So I appreciate everything that you do, not only in your interactions with us. I can't figure out what our favorite moment was, whether it was Rob asking you a question and you actually telling him, let's get back to that next week.
Yeah,
and actually make
that was the Matt question, right? That was when he asked about Matt's greatest improvement. Yeah.
So there was that. There was obviously showing Spoon the different plays that you had screen capped, and then you were making fun of Schneidman's workout regimen, which was also great. They were all great. So
anytime on that, anytime.
I just wanted to express our appreciation as a group to you. You could easily take the easy way out and give crappy answers and get this over with. And you have never, since the day you walked in as a rookie, been that way. So it's our honor to thank you for that. And I would ask a question, which will be much shorter than this presentation, but probably not very short given how long my questions are.
Yes.
Why are you this way? Why do you think this is important to you? I mean, we take our jobs of being the conduit between you and the fans seriously, but not all players think of us that way.
Yeah. Truthfully, Wildy, I would say there's 2 big reasons. One, like I told you, I don't like going through the motions with anything that I do, just because it makes everything, like you watch the clock at school, it's going to be a long day, so I try to get the most out of everything that I do. And that's kind of something that I was taught by my parents, especially my dad. Like, that's something that he was on me about, is just don't go through the motions. You got to clean something up, like just commit to it. Whatever you're doing, you're at football practice, get the most out of everything you do. So part of it is something that's kind of in here. And then the other part is, you guys, y'all have made it really easy for me to do this as well. Like, I obviously went through a tough part of my career where in 2015, there was times where I didn't want to, or maybe I even tried to slip out of the locker room quicker just because of some of the stuff that I was going through. But when I look back on it, I didn't love every single question I was asked, but I never felt any type of, particular way negatively about any of you guys throughout that whole process. And y'all made that relatively easy for me to kind of get through. There was no media as far as this group here. I don't like the rest of the world. Obviously, they've had their thoughts and beliefs about me and treated me different types of ways. But this group here, the guys that are kind of around day to day, y'all have made me feel good about coming in here and doing this with you and asking good questions. Even when you have to ask some of the tougher questions that you got to ask, I feel like y'all are, you treat me like a human being. So it feels good to feel that. And then it makes it just a lot more fun to come in here and just chat with y'all and, give you the real me. I just try to be me. I like to think that's what it is. I just come in here and I just really just have a conversation with y'all. So shout out to you guys for, 3 times doing anything. It's not easy to win anything 3 times. Definitely not easy to just give something away 3 times. So this does not go unnoticed by you guys. So I appreciate it. It makes me feel good about coming in here and doing what I do with y'all. So thank you for that, man. It means a lot.
Well, I know Zoom is not ideal. So hopefully when you win your 4th one, it'll be in the locker room next year.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on with that. Hopefully everybody gets their 5th booster and we can be good to go.
Go ahead, Wes.
Congrats, Davante. I also have to admit, it's cool that I think you are probably the one that's been the most excited to receive the award over the years too. So it's been neat to see that. My question for you is actually where you've kept those. Like, do you actually have like a trophy?
That's the good thing. So I have a trophy room back home, and every time I take a picture of my trophy room, like you can't tell what it is. So it doesn't matter to everybody else. They just see another accolade. So it means a lot coming from you guys, but this could be a ESPY for all they know. Like they don't know what it is. They just see it sitting on the shelf. So it looks pretty official, but I'm not gonna lie. It looks really good. I got one from PFF this week, so it'll probably go next to my new PFF best receiver of 2021. So I got this stand-up guy here and it'll go to the rest of the collection in Cali.
All right, Davante, that's it. Congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Seriously, I appreciate you guys. Thank you, man.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everybody.